Welcome to Behind the Tab. I am with the masterminds of the Craft Beer Professionals Chicago event next month in at what is it, Revolution
Oh,
Brewery?
you Revolution in Chicago. Patricia, I was going to say you better know what city we're heading to in less than, 45 days.
Yeah. So we figured let's just tee up the conversations that are going to be had there. We're super excited to be a part of it. And thank you so much for jumping on and giving us a little bit of your point of view. Our theme for this podcast is, and this is coming out of Craft Brewers Conference, and you may or may not disagree, um, is flat the new growth? So, with that being said, let's just do a round of introductions. Kevin, you want to jump in?
Sure. My name is Kevin Irvin. I affectionately go by Swirv in the industry. I'm the operations manager of Atlantucky. I'm also the president of the Georgia State Craft Brewers Guild, one third of the Crafted for Action Conference, and one half of Drought Season Lifestyle Brand. That's the hat I'm wearing today. As I mentioned, the other hats that I wear for business. Thanks for
Very
having me.
nice. Very nice. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Everybody knows Andrew, but I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Oh, thanks, Patricia. And Kevin, you wear Swirv. I got to stop reading your name on the camera, but you wear so many hats. And so my name's Andrew Coplon. I started Crappy Professionals literally in 2017 as just me. We've grown to 18,000 people. Not everybody has the opportunity to go to in-person events. So we love our community for a place to come and ask questions and have 100 sessions of free education. But we also do in-person events, which we launched in 2022. And we're really excited for our first CVP Connects with GoTab in Chicago this June.
Very cool. And Chris.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Patricia. So I'm Chris Farmand, founder of Small Batch Standard. We are a financial agency for craft. So basically, we do everything that your accountant does, but we only do it for craft beverage manufacturers. Super tight focus on accounting, tax, and then benchmark consulting.
Very cool. And you're all going to be panelists or speakers, or Andrew, everybody knows what you're going to do at the conference, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So if you really like what you hear today, head on out to Chicago. You'll hear them and meet them. Maybe get a hat. Love the hat, Profit.
I'm getting one.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's just jump in. I came, our CEO, Tim, came back and said, is flat the new growth? And this is basically coming back from Craft Brewers Conference, which a lot of people attended. And so the question is, for you, Kevin, is that the case? And do you think that we might need to measure success differently in this new environment that we're in?
Yeah, and I really appreciate that perspective because I would say, yes, I think with the industry going down, especially our brewery, we were trying to survive in the space and not try to focus so much on trying to grow, trying to get a distro. So we put a model of just staying open is what we were saying to ourselves, but really keeping flat, making sure we were measuring on a different metric instead of a growth metric, measuring on like, are we able to not go below that flat level? And we were on that going trying to survive the industry well before I heard that message. So once I heard it, it really resonated with me. And when I brought it back to our team, we're like, yeah, that's probably pretty much how we have to go right now. So I would say yes to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now, if with that being the case, what different ways are you measuring? Yeah, obviously staying open, but beyond that, what different ways are you measuring now than maybe you weren't, a year or two ago?
Well, before our goal was to get the distro. That was one of our goals. So we were trying to scale up. We're a small brewery, but now we've gotten away from that. We don't have that goal of distro. We have that goal of keeping steady events and keeping and actually changing how we've even done our model, being a little bit more event focused, being more focused on not being transactional with our customers, but being more communal in how we're dealing with them. Because I think it's easy to, when you're trying to scale up, you're just thinking of numbers, 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 and it becomes very transactional. So we're getting away from that and building that relationship, if you will, and building our tribe and our community of customers and staying steady with them as opposed to always trying to reach new customers.
That's awesome. Yeah, great input. Andrew, thoughts there?
Yeah, I think we see a lot in the news that people are drinking less beer and brewery production is down. But I think we really need to look at why breweries exist. And the reason so many breweries exist are community gathering spaces, bringing people together, doing events like Swirv mentioned. And, as we continue to do more than just make really good beer, there's so many other things that you all are doing. And you're making food. A few years ago, no one wanted to make food. You're doing family-friendly events. So while beer production may be down, I think we really need to look at the additional revenue streams that are becoming more and more important.
Nice. And I guess, Chris, is you work with so many different operators. A follow-up question for you. If growth isn't the new goal, can you get a little bit more specific about what's replacing it?
Yeah, focus. Focus is replacing growth. And I think with focus, we can find profit and we can find success if we're not trying a bunch of different things. So Swerve's example is a second ago. They were set out on doing distro and they realized that that may not be the best path. It sounds to me like that's an example of focus, right? They looked at the reality of what the situation was and said this isn't going to work. We encounter so many operators that just the numbers don't make sense, but they trudge forward with this idea that I open a brewery, it's my right to have beer on the shelves or in bars. It sometimes isn't, and that's the focus that's required. So if the new focus is not going into distro, then we focus on how do we enhance our experience in the tasting room, in the tap room, and our offerings and food and events and all those hopefully have profit built into it. So then you can continue to reap the benefits of that sort of focus.
Yeah, it's interesting. I obviously I'm old, I got gray hair. I've been in a lot of industries, a lot of ups and downs. And it's the companies that focus in those downturns tend to have a very strong kind of forward momentum when things turn around. And so my optimism exists for all business. When you're in a tough spot, you tend to make the best decisions if you're willing to adjust and change what you're doing. So hats off
Yeah.
to you to like shifting because again, it's hard to get people to change their minds about what their original plan was.
Oh, it was those weren't easy conversations, and if I'm being honest and transparent, a lot of that kind of happened for us. We saw our sales going down, and we're close to Mercedes Benz. We had a model of trying to be that brewery for people coming into town, which aren't built. Those that's transactional. Those people are coming into town one time and leaving, and we were trying to focus on that, thinking, oh, these people will know about us and they'll talk about us when they travel to all their other places. But that doesn't bring actual profit in consistently. Building your tribe, building your super fans, if you will. That's one of the that's the subject of my panel. Focusing on that really is what we focused on, and we found that those customers have come in more consistently. So we've put our model around that. That's almost like a motto of ours right now is being less transactional with our customers and our internal staff as well.
Mhm.
It's interesting. There's kind of a nice segue into the next question, which is, has craft beer become too similar to itself? Which I have for Andrew, but I want to come back to you, Kevin, after Andrew answers the question, because I'm curious to know like what you're going to be going over in your session about differentiation. So, Andrew, has craft beer become too similar to itself? Um, the branding, the tap list, even the spaces, sometimes are they interchangeable? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a really fun question. I mean, about a decade ago, you could make okay beer, have some picnic tables outside of a warehouse and Edison lights, and that was craft beer. As we've learned, you have to do more than that now. I mean, every brewery is making pretty good beer now. Every brewery is doing trivia nights. Every brewery is doing markets. So the way I like to think about it, what are you really doing to differentiate yourself when everybody is doing all of these things and they're doing them well? I think one of the secrets to running a successful brewery these days is running a successful business. And folks like Chris are helping breweries all over with this, and you all with GoTab are doing all the numbers to give breweries the way to have more efficient and smooth operations. So I think the true differentiator is how you're running your business, but also looking outside of the beer industry. Because if we keep recycling all of these ideas that our peers are doing a mile away, or breweries, within your community, why are they going to come to your space? And it really comes down to, I think, the relationships that you build within your tap room. Swerve, when you talk about just connecting with people, making it more than just a transaction, I love that so much. And arguably, we're in the hospitality business now. I don't think brewers really wanted to accept that a few years ago. And even the keynote at the recent Craft Brewers Conference was about hospitality. COVID made us focus on our businesses. Now we're actually talking the lingo of hospitality, and we're thinking about the little things that can make a big difference. So, Patricia, it's about way more than beer, which makes it way harder for everyone. But those are the ways you can truly stand out, survive, and see more than that level of flatness that we're talking about today.
Yeah, no, so way more than beer, even though it's the beer that you love and what got you into the business. So, Kevin, I don't want you to give away your whole panel, but can you talk a little
Mhm.
bit about what does it mean to build a tribe like in your business?
Well, our panel is on super fans, and we look at that as our community, our tribe, building the people that are going to support you through those downtimes, people that are going to make sure that you're supported well, even sometimes help you clean up, when you're not even asking for it. Just people that really believe in the business, they're supportive of it. It's their third space, if you will, home being one, job being two, and we being that third place you just want to come hang out, eat, bring your friends to, tell your friends about. But that comes with really feeding into those super fans, building them, building that tribe, being aligned with their, morals and goals and things are, and not being so caught up in trying to catch all these new opportunities and being stuck. If we're going to have 10 people, we're going to have 10 people every day consistently, as opposed to, well, how do we get 20 more here and 30 more here and pop up at this event? Like, no, let's actually feed these people and the people that really show up on those slow days, your Tuesdays, your Wednesdays, your Thursdays. Those are the people that we really try to focus in on and build on, as opposed to, like I said, trying to find all those other opportunities for
Yeah.
growth.
I can imagine it has implications for pretty much everything, like your advertising,
Oh,
your
everything.
brand
Yeah,
investments, everything. So
yeah.
I'm really interested.
Even the events we do, when we have events, we're always thinking about how do we make them want to do this event consistently here. So even in that first intro, we're already thinking about how do we make you come back. So how we present to them, how we talk to them, how we angle different things we can do. We did an event with Atlanta Community Food Bank. We said, hey, we could do a beer and have a donation go back to donate it back to you. So looking for those opportunities to can just continually build into that tribe.
Very nice. All right. So what the next question is kind of related, but is the tap room the product now? Well, the beer is important, but talk about tap room experiences and how they become the product. And I'm not sure who wants to answer this. Maybe Andrew, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I'll dive in. I mean, I'll say something controversial to start, but it's like I said earlier, beer is arguably secondary right now. It's the connections, it's the human aspect of why you go to a tap room. So the tap room, the beer garden, I think that is the product. But I think when you really
Yeah,
got to think about it, it's like a trifold. It's like almost like a Venn diagram. You have the great beer, you have the engaging staff, and then you have essentially what's the vibe. And really, what you're looking for is the intersection of all three. And when you get all three of those, and of course, running a strong business, that's the wow experience that's going to get people coming back through the door.
Yeah. Kevin, I don't know if you have any thoughts about your tap room as it being the product versus the food and bev.
no, I totally agree with that. One thing I say is that everyone has a great IPA. Everyone has a great beer. Like, so what separates you now from that is the experience, how you made them feel. Like, it's just some of the something they say in sales. People are buying, the experience, the person, not so much what you're selling a lot of times. And if you're giving that great experience, you feel comfortable, you feel welcome, you're going to come back whether the beer is amazing or average, as long as it's just not terrible. So, so that's I wholeheartedly agree with Andrew's point.
Nice. Nice. So I'm going to wrap it up. I always like to think about a 30-day reset. So in the next 30 days, if you're listening to this podcast, other than coming to the Chicago Craft Beer Professionals, because we definitely want you to do that, what do you think operators can do over the next 30 days to change their business approach to be more resilient and more profitable? I'll give this to you, Chris.
Yeah, so in the next 30 days, we're going to be at the beginning of the summer, and that's go time for breweries. So I think the next 30 days is, I would take the next, let's break it down in thirds. Okay. So the next 10 days, I'm going to look at my numbers and I'm going to look at the sales that we had last year leading up to summer. I'm going to look at the sales that we had during summer and I'm going to start setting some goals. Okay, I'm going to start setting some sales goals to see what we can get to as far as summertime goes because we should be generating some profit in all the sales throughout our tap room. That's a relatively safe bet. Not so much in distribution all the time, but in the tap room. So once we have that information, we're going to set goals. The next 10 days, we're going to share this with our team. We are going to get our team together and be like, "Hey, these were our sales last year. These are our sales this is the goal that we want to hit to this year. Can we do it?" And then the last 10 days leading into the summer, we're going to lay out the execution and start delegating and executing on that plan. So that's going to get us hopefully enough sales and enough profit throughout our busiest time in order to make it through what potentially could be a slower winter, late fall, winter, etc., and get us through that. So yeah, I love this time of the year. You know, conferences other than Andrews kind of slow down, and so that's why it's an awesome opportunity to meet everyone at Craft Beer Professionals in Chicago. But this is the time where breweries are really head down and planning for the busiest times of the year.
Very cool. I think that's very tactical. I love it. Just very specific. 10, 10, and 10. So
Yep.
as we close, I want to give each of you an opportunity to say kind of where people can find you, talk about your panel if you'd like, and any wrap up to make sure that we get the right people, the right butts, and the right seats in Chicago. Who wants to start?
Well, I'll
Chris.
dive in. Oh, Chris, go ahead.
Let's go with Chris.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll let you go last, Andrew, because it's your event. So
Yeah. So I'll be attending Craft Beer Professionals in Chicago, and I'll be sitting on a panel named "Where's the Money? How do I get more money?" Well, Andrew, I just butchered it, but it has to do with
No, the panel is finding money in your brewery through margins, efficiencies, and smarter decisions, which I think everybody's working on right now.
right, right. And I'm sitting with some really awesome panelists, some really successful breweries, and we've had a couple planning calls, and it's going to be a fire episode where we just dish out experiences, practical tips, and I cannot wait. I'm excited.
yeah, so Mike Cornet from Prize and Tim Walters from Caboose. I
Yep.
think those are the two, or do we have a third, Andrew? Is that those are the two panelists?
And that's we've got it.
Okay,
We've got it.
awesome. Both amazing business people. You're going to learn so much from them. Kevin, you want
Yeah.
to pick us up?
So I'll leave Andrew to give the technical name of it, but it's super fans is as I've been kind of referencing. And we're just talking about kind of what we talked about already. How do you make your customers super fans? How do you build your tribe? How do you become less transactional with your customers and with your internal team? Um, I have a great team of people on the panel with me. If you haven't been to CBP, I just suggest coming out. It's a great tribe of people to get connected with for those of us that are professionals in the industry. I came last year and now I'm hooked. So we're hoping that our panel and the energy you guys feel when you come out to the conference will make you want to continue to come and be a part of our tribe.
Very cool. Andrew, want to wrap it up?
Well, Swerve, there's a rumor there may be one in Atlanta in 2027. We've got goals here.
I mean, if we could do it in 2027 in Atlanta, that's all I'm all about that. So let me know.
Well, Chicago's the focus right now. For everyone who hasn't been to a CPP Connect before, it's a little bit different than your other industry events. First off, everything takes place in one big room. You register, you walk through almost a maze of trade show. And one of my favorite parts is you're immediately seated with strangers. And I like to point that out because so often when we go to industry events, we stick to our own circles. We don't meet a lot of new people. I think one of the reasons people truly come to CPP Connects is to connect with others just like them from all across the country, people they don't already know. So the conversations that take place are so important. But also, we've got 14 sessions over the 2 days, and for each one, they're designed for the brewery owner or manager. You're going to walk away with actionable strategies. It's not going to be like, oh, well, what Swirv and Chris said was interesting. They're going to give you actionable steps you can take to run a more successful business. So I think it's so important right now that we're intentional with our time to step away from our businesses just for a couple days and come connect with others just like you. So if you want to learn more, cbpconnects.com. And Patricia, I want to give you all in GoTab a huge shout out for all your support on this one. It's been really, really fun kind of working together on this, and it's going to be great to see everybody together in Chicago.
Awesome. Well, I just want to shout out to you for building a real community, a community of people who care about one another and want to help each other be successful. That's what we're, like business should be about. So we're very grateful to be a part of it, and we thank you so much for participating.
Appreciate it. And I can't wait to see everybody in Chicago.